on the 5 freeway. I know our tracking, I believe, just said it's southbound, but I think we are going north on the 5 freeway, approaching Glendale, passing Frogtown on the right here shortly, and then we'll go through and hit Glendale. This started out in Riverside on a charge of possible domestic violence and then carjacking. We're told that this is the driver's girlfriend's car taken in Riverside, and this has gone from the 210 to the 605 south, now on the 5 north, heading, I believe, towards Glendale. I'm just thrown a little bit because our tracking map technology says southbound on the 5, but I still think this is definitely going northbound, now hitting Stadium Way, so passing Dodger Stadium up to the left and approaching. California Highway Patrol has been in pursuit. It has been a rapid pursuit at that. You see down to 60 miles an hour now, but that is not the norm for what we have seen in this pursuit. We've seen speeds upwards of 120 miles an hour. Dangerous along the way. California Highway Patrol is not going to let this go for several reasons. One, because of the original want, the domestic violence and carjacking, and two, just the speed and the danger that we are seeing this driver put a lot of people in, the pursuing officers as well as other cars here on the road. Luckily, for the safety of those around, traffic has been relatively light, which is one of the reasons it's enabled this driver to go so fast and reach such dangerous and excessive speeds. Again, 5 northbound 5 freeway, now in Silver Lake. At some point soon, we'll be approaching the 134 freeway. Another decision for this driver to make, whether they are going to stay on this route or ditch it and get on the 134. You can see some of those overpasses through Los Feliz, the Los Feliz area, and then the next major intersection, the next freeway intersection will be the 134. So whether this driver will continue to go northbound, whether they could head east back in the direction where this all began in Riverside, we are waiting to see. But right now, a dangerous situation on our local freeways. This drive actually headed our way to our Glendale studios, pretty close to the 134 and the 5. So exit 141B, I believe we should see the interchange here coming up shortly, but this is a wide section of freeway. You can see here now 5 lanes wide. I believe at one point it goes into 6 and maybe even 7 if you count a very long ramp, but getting down below 60 miles an hour and traffic picking up slightly here on the 5, now passing Colorado Street. So we still have about a mile or two to go before we get to that 134 interchange. But many CHP officers, we can see 3 just in frame here. You can see the Skyship. It's right behind our live bug there, the top left of our screen. But there is a helicopter in pursuit here. That's where that night sun, that flash light, that big torch that's lighting, illuminating this driver and just the area for other drivers and the pursuing officers to be able to see if anything is thrown from the vehicle. This is a just a Hyundai 4-door sedan. I believe it's tough to tell just because of the time of day, but I believe those are tinted windows. We don't have much of a look inside of this car to see the driver, their state, perhaps their emotional state. At times you can get a look at the driver and kind of get a feel for how they are doing emotionally, mentally. We can't tell right now, other than the fact that they are running from police at 85 miles an hour on the northbound 5 freeway, now in Glendale proper. And I believe there we just saw a sign for the 134. Just continuing on northbound 80 miles an hour. Again, we've seen speeds up to 120 miles per hour in this pursuit. And getting on the 134. Okay, so we are westbound now on the 134, heading in the opposite direction of where this began. Again, it started in Riverside. Riverside police reporting a woman reported a domestic violence with a known suspect who then stole her vehicle. So I believe this driver had a warrant out already. Officers say they observed the vehicle in downtown Riverside near the freeway, attempted to stop, but that driver failed to yield, and that began this pursuit, which began quite some time ago. pre-9 o'clock. So we're talking about at least 40, 45 minutes. I don't have an exact time on when this started, but our first notice of this came at about 9:50. And so I don't know exactly how long this had been going prior to that, but we are upwards of 45 minutes here as we are past the bottom of the hour. And at one point in next couple of minutes, we are going to have to break away. I know we have to take care of the business of the news tonight, and Mark Brown, our 11 o'clock anchor, has to record some cut-ins for our 11 o'clock news, so we might have to break away shortly to do that, but this continues on here, 80 miles an hour on the 134 eastbound. Are we going east or west? This is the west, carpool lane. And now slowing down, I'm wondering if there's nothing really in front of this driver. So slowing down, either car trouble or communication with somebody on the phone, or perhaps questioning their life decisions at this point. Earlier, we did see this car using their turn signal, which always is a bit of an interesting sight when someone has no regard for the safety of other drivers on the road and no respect for the laws and law enforcement, and yet still willing to signal their turn signals. And so, again, approaching 90 miles an hour, 80 to 90 miles an hour on the 134 westbound Hollywood Way. This typically is a pretty busy stretch of freeway, but luckily tonight, and that is our, is that Disney Studios? Is that Disney ABC? No, they're past that. Hollywood Way is past that. Okay, so speeds varying here, not like what we have been seeing within the last 20 minutes when we saw speeds upwards of 100, 110, 120 miles an hour. Far too fast for law enforcement to really do anything about this other than pursue or drop back and let the airship kind of monitor things as they go. You talk about speeds that quickly, that fast, the danger just increases exponentially. Any little thing could set off a catastrophic crash. So we are 134 westbound towards Toluca Lake, towards North Hollywood. The next major intersection or the next major drop-off would be the 170, and then you have the 101 split here with the 134. So we will see how this goes. Not too far off from the 101 split. A silver Hyundai Sonata. Again, police telling us that this driver took it from his girlfriend by force during a domestic violence incident. Riverside police tried to pull this driver over. They did not stop, and so then the pursuit was on. It has gone westbound on the 210 for some distance down to the 605 south, hopped on the 5 northbound, and now on the 134. So passing the 170 split and staying on the 134. Towards the 101 split from Riverside to San Bernardino to Irwindale, down to Downey, back up on the 5 through Glendale, and now heading westbound / northbound towards the 101 freeway, where the split is coming up here. Valley Village on the 134. You see the signs there for the 101 if he stays to the left. Going on the 101 if he stays to the right, it will be the 134. So it looks like staying towards the left and getting on this 101 freeway. And yeah, the 134 has now turned into the 101. Okay, so here we go. That we are 45, 50 minutes into this as far as we can tell in terms of when this first began, and no signs of stopping and no sign of slowing down. Great shot of the airship there overhead tracking this. They only have so much fuel. We'll see if they switch out at some point. Their airship, I know ours can only stay up for a couple of hours, and plenty of time on our gas tank. And so we will be with you here as long as this goes to the end of our broadcast tonight. And I know personally, this is a night where I will be reporting for the 11 o'clock news. I know a lot of our fellow reporters go out and do a lot of hard work all day, and then a story like this, a pursuit comes along and has the potential to blow out the rest of our stories. And so we'll see how long this lasts, whether it makes it into our 11 o'clock hour, and how long once we are in that time slot, whether it continues. But we will be with this as long as our helicopter can stay up. Air 7 HD will be there. SkyMap 7 helping us out with the directions. 101 northbound passing Coldwater Canyon into Sherman Oaks. And you have to wonder at this point what the mindset is of this driver. Where do they think they're going to go? You have so many officers behind you, and you are just on wide open freeway. Where do you think you're going to go? Is this a matter of just making your calls and enjoying the last of your freedom before you are taken into custody and taken to jail? Or whether these drivers find themselves in the delusion of thinking they're going to get away. And so 67, 70, 80 miles an hour now through Sherman Oaks on the 101 freeway. And let me just check one thing. How much time do we have, guys? Okay, so we've got a couple more minutes. We've got 2 or 3 more minutes before we've got to take care of some ABC 7 business here on the air. And again, if you're just joining our stream, thank you so much for tuning in. This is a pursuit from the California Highway Patrol that began in Riverside, made its way west on the 210 freeway, got on the 605 south, traveling at speeds up to 120 miles an hour, got off on the 5 and came back northbound on the 5 all the way up to Glendale, 134 West Freeway, which has now become the 101 freeway heading west through Sherman Oaks. And we are waiting to see what this driver is planning to do, where they are planning to go, whether they have a plan, and how dangerous they're going to make this. Because speeds, you talk about 100 to 120 miles an hour, you're talking about some serious speed. It could end in some trouble for not only him, but anyone on the road and for the pursuing officers. So more of reasonable speeds here. You talk about 80 miles an hour. It's not unfamiliar territory to see a car on the 101 freeway, if you're not caught in traffic, going speeds around what we're seeing here. 84, 85 is pushing it quite a little bit. It's still dangerous, some of these lanes. I know if you've driven on the 101 through this stretch, they can get a little tight. Sometimes they hug the center divider and can get a little dangerous. And onto the shoulder, sparks flying. Whether that was intentional or not, the left lane seemed open the entire time, but something happened there to cause that driver to veer off to the right. I know there was talk of putting out a spike strip at some point. Looks like the front tire might be flat. Yes, flat right front tire. And you have to wonder whether that is the result of a spike strip that sent that driver careening off to the side of the road, or whether they just lost control and the sparks we saw caused some damage to this car. But right front tire, I have to imagine the left front might be flat as well. Speeds are dropping now below 50 miles an hour over to the left side of the freeway. And what is going to happen here? Driver seems to have control slightly, as much as you can have with a flat tire, going 60 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. And this looks like it is slowing down significantly. And it's only a matter of time at this point. You can't run on flat tires on a freeway like this for too long at high speeds. Now down to 40 miles an hour, 101 northbound, passing Haskell and Havenhurst through Encino. And this has taken a rather significant turn. Waiting to see what they plan to do, but this is continuing westbound 101, and I believe we are about at the point, possible pit maneuver coming up here, and well executed, completely spinning this car around. And let's see if they continue on. They've got the wheel turn still going backwards. Sometimes when they perform a pit maneuver like this, it locks up the car, and three officers are pulling up, and we'll see if this driver is able to get this car back into gear and moving again, and there they go. So back into the cruisers go the officers, and this is not done. The car is still able to run, although it's only a matter of time before that significantly changes, but we are continuing on here. Westbound 101, westbound/northbound 101 through Encino. First pit maneuver, and the rear bumper is completely off on the left side. It is still on the right. We'll see how long that decides to hang on, and it is almost completely gone, just hanging on by some wiring at this point. But I imagine in a couple moments we will see it skid to a stop, completely separated from this car, but back up to 70 miles an hour. 70 miles an hour on what looks like a flat right front tire. We can't get a look at the front left. But if they did hit a spike strip, there's a good chance both of the front tires are flat. Just a 1-minute warning before we have to break away for some business on ABC7. I'm not sure. Is that going to show up on the stream? Okay, so we will just kind of drop out, I believe, for a minute or so while we take care of some business on the TV side. If you want to have some fun, you can pop on the TV and watch what we're doing on ABC7 and then continue on to the stream here on abc7.com and our ABC7 Los Angeles app. But 60 miles an hour now, this Hyundai Sonata, which began in Riverside. This pursuit has gone through several counties and now heading west towards Ventura County. I'm surprised that they are able to control such speeds with the status of this car, but here we are. This continues on. We're going to break away now.
Air 7 stream will continue.
Okay, our Air 7 stream will continue. So for those of you who are watching us on this stream, keep watching. We will still be there, but we're going to break away here for just a moment and take care of some business. Okay, welcome back. We are streaming live on ABC7 and ABC7.com and on our ABC7 Los Angeles app. This is a pursuit that began in Riverside. It started with a domestic violence call. Apparently, the driver of this silver Hyundai Sonata was involved in a domestic violence, allegedly attacking his girlfriend and then stealing her car. Police in Riverside found the car as it was driving. They attempted to pull it over. The driver did not stop, and the pursuit began. I believe we're coming up on about an hour from when this first began in Riverside. This driver drove at exceedingly high speeds on the 210 freeway westbound, got on the 605 down, I believe as far as about Downey, before getting on the 5 freeway back north, all the way up to Glendale, getting on the 134 freeway west, and now in Woodland Hills approaching Ventura County. And you can see some damage on this car. That was caused by a pit maneuver performed by a California Highway Patrol officer just about 5 or so minutes ago. And for a brief moment, the car came to a stop facing sideways on the freeway. 3 units pulled up. At least one of them drivers got out with guns drawn, but the driver with at least 1 flat tire, possibly more. We can't get a great view of the left side of this vehicle, but the right front tire, we believe, is flat, was able to re-engage the vehicle and put it back in motion, and here we are, going about, I believe, 50 to 60 miles an hour on the 101 freeway through Woodland Hills with a bumper scraping behind him. That was caused by the pit maneuver. It took it off. The left side, you can see, was dislodged, and the rest of it came off shortly. It is just hanging on now by some wiring. It's likely the wiring that attaches to the lights and the blinkers there, or if a piece of plastic, I can see, and there it goes. So back bumper is now gone. This driver definitely has a flat tire on the right front. We are curious whether the left front is flat as well, but still maintaining decent control of this vehicle at 70 miles an hour. Not able to stay in the lane there, but you don't see any of that like kind of swimming fishtailing that we see at times with drivers going at high speeds, running on flat tires down to the rim and down to the metal. We did see a flash of sparks at one point shortly before the pit maneuver. So we believe that the police or California Highway Patrol was able to deploy a spike strip, which it looks like was at least partially effective, as this driver is on basically down to the rim on the right front. And so that was effective. The car careened towards the right shoulder. Sparks flew. It went over some kind of bump or ditch, catching a little bit of air, it looked like, but was able to regain partial control. But the driver did come down to slower speeds at that point. But that was when the pit maneuver was performed. I'm curious about what we're seeing at the rear of the car, whether that is a light that was on the bumper that now is just kind of swinging freely because the bumper is now gone. But you can see a flash of white behind the car that seems to be moving awkwardly. But pursuing officers from California Highway Patrol are continuing this on the 101 freeway into Calabasas and Ventura County, and something might be happening now. If we could zoom back in, it looks like for a moment it looked like they were headed towards the shoulder of the road, but onward we go. Westbound, and you can see those lights at the rear of the car. Here we go, some sparking from the right front wheel down to the rim, and that has to be felt inside the car as well as the driver hits the brakes, but back on the throttle. And here we go, lighting up the 101 freeway with sparks down to the metal on the front right tire, or the front right wheel. The tire is long gone, as is the bumper on this car. Again, this began in Riverside about an hour ago, or a little more at this point than an hour ago, and has traveled through at least 4 counties: Riverside, San Bernardino, LA, into Ventura County. I don't think they dipped down into Orange County as far as they got. That was just before we picked up with Air 7 HD. But again, back over to the right not much traffic to speak of, which is good news for safety's concern and for the pursuing officers. It just adds another element of uncertainty and of danger when you're pursuing a car like this and you don't know what's going to happen. You want as few people around as possible. And that looks like the situation that these California Highway Patrol officers are encountering here. Down to 50 miles an hour here in lane number 2. And still able to maintain control enough to stay in one lane for the most part. Now, as they swing around here, we'll get a much better look at the left side of this vehicle to see what the status is of those 2 tires. We know the right front tire is completely gone. He is down to the rim, and we saw sparks flying a moment ago. But again, we don't know the status of those other 2 tires, whether he's driving on 3 functional tires or whether we are down to nothing in the front and a little bit of control in the back. So again, varying speeds at this point now, dipping below 50 miles an hour. Officers still in pursuit, but it looks like we are, again, slowing down. It doesn't necessarily mean a ton to see a driver like this slow down, but slow enough to perform another pit maneuver, and just stepped on the gas to get away enough. But that officer was looking to perform pit maneuver number 2 and back on the throttle up above 55, approaching 60 miles an hour here. But it can't last like this for much longer. The way this car is deteriorating down to the rim, a lot of times you'll see kind of what we're seeing right now, where you get locked into this position and drivers lose control. They'll head over to one side of the road or the other, unable to really maintain control, but still going relatively straight at a relatively even pace right now. 70 miles an hour is not an easy thing to maneuver here in a car in this position. But onward we go. Something just popped, so it looks like that wheel might now be completely deteriorating, but something popped on that right front wheel, and we saw a couple more sparks, and it looked like a little bit of a struggle to maintain control. But onward we go. Okay, so while you're watching us on this stream, we are approaching the 11 o'clock hour, and we do have some business to take care of before we get on the air for Eyewitness News at 11, which you can watch either on air or you can continue to stream. And we, of course, you'll be able to catch all of our newscasts on abc7.com and on our ABC7 Los Angeles app. So we're going to take a break here. You should still be able to catch the action, what is going on here in this pursuit. And then we will join you once again for Eyewitness News at 11 on air and online. We'll see you in just a bit. Breaking news, this pit maneuver not the end of a dangerous carjacking pursuit. The daring escape with Air 7 HD overhead. We will take it to you live. Plus, Valentine's Day horror, a body found in a local home. What's in the trash bin in 60 seconds?
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us here for Eyewitness News at 11. I'm Jory Rand in for Mark Brown. This is a big news night, but happening right now. A pursuit that began in Riverside that has now made its way all the way to Ventura, and it looks like it is now coming to an end on the 101 freeway. A pit maneuver performed by California Highway Patrol officers wasting no time approaching the vehicle and pulling the driver out from the driver's seat down on the ground and quickly bringing this person into custody. This has been a pursuit that began more than an hour ago in Riverside. It began with a call of domestic violence. The driver apparently assaulting his girlfriend, then stealing her car. Officers in Riverside saw the car, tried to stop it. The driver did not stop, and the pursuit was on. And they are now walking this person back to one of their cruisers in handcuffs and in custody onto the back of the car to search their person for weapons. And again, we believe there was a warrant out for this person, but on the right side of your screen just a short time ago, you'll see the first pit maneuver. We can tell that because this car still has a rear bumper that was quickly lost. It looked like this was a picture-perfect pit maneuver, bringing the car to a stop. Officers stopped their car. Several got out of their vehicles, guns drawn, but it didn't take long before the car was back in motion and the pursuit was on once again. This is a pursuit that saw speeds of upwards of 120 miles an hour, traveling westbound from Riverside on the 210 freeway, on the 605 south, then the 5 north, all the way up to Glendale, getting on the 134 westbound onto the 101 freeway. And there you saw this car lose the bumper about 20 minutes ago, and it is gone. So speeds were varying once they performed the pit maneuver. You can see in that video the right front tire is flat. It made it all the way down to the rims. At some point, we believe a spike strip was deployed. It was apparently effective, and we did see sparks flying from this car at one point, losing control onto the shoulder. They were able to regain control and continue this pursuit on. So happy to say this is now over with. It looks like everyone was safe for what could have been a potentially incredibly dangerous pursuit. But CHP officers bringing this driver into custody.